Okay. Good evening to you all, and welcome back to the IMPL Sansar Sangeet Utsav, the virtual Pan World Music Festival. Today, I have with me the director of Carlton Chinese Music Ensemble, and a very popular Chinese performer, composer, and a master of the pear-shaped lute, the pipa. None other than Gong Hong. So welcome her for this lovely evening that she has given us through her ensemble, exquisite music that we just heard. I know that amongst the world traditions, Chinese music is one of the very, very first. So I would like our guest and the very popular world celebrity, world-renowned artist, Gong Hong, to talk a little bit about, the tradition itself, the Chinese music tradition and the culture.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And I'm so pleasure to be here today to meet everyone. So that was played by the Chinese Music Ensemble. And is a Carlton Chinese Music Ensemble. Is some of traditional music, some of is new compositions. So I hope you enjoyed. As you know, Chinese music is about 5,000 years old in history, but Carlton Chinese Music Ensemble is only about 15 years, 16 years. So, but the students combining with all the Chinese Music Ensemble at Carleton College and the Global Music Ensemble. So.
In your presentation, I saw a lot of very, very special traditional instruments that your team played. Can you talk about some of the very special instruments that are, including your pipa? Can you talk about some of the original Chinese instruments which have been there for many, many years now?
Yeah, the pipa is my one of my major instrument I play. The pipa is about 2,000 years old. So we call the lute, or we call it Chinese lute and the pipa. So it's kind of like a similar with the sitar. It's all lute family, kind of like a sitar or veena or, that kind of plucked instrument. So it's a very, very ancient, but we hold up upright and we have 5 fake nails, all the nails you can play instead of a pick. And also we play all different kind of music. We play classical, Chinese traditional music. We play folk tone. We play as a accompanist for the operas, and we play as a folk music. You can sing with it. So it's very, very, you can imitate the sounds like a flowing water, battle, or people talking, or horse trading. So you can do a lot of them, and just one of that. And also we have a Chinese violin called erhu, which means 2-string instrument. You probably saw a lot of that. That's kind of like a Chinese violin, and the 2-string fiddle we call. Then we have a zither, kind of like a kodo, and we have a hammer dulcimer. It's like the the strings, and we have a flute. It's the bamboo flute, and a lot of instruments.
Yes, some of the Chinese scales and the Chinese notes I've seen are really, really very ancient, and you have a lot of pentatonic scales, if I notice. So. Yes. In fact, some of the very primordial pentatonic scales in the world today has originated from China. So would you like to talk about some of the very popular Chinese scales?
Yeah, Chinese five pentatonic scale usually is including 5 notes as a do, re, mi, so, la. So as you can say la, mi, mi, la, whatever it is, but we not just a five notes will be that's it. Actually, we have all different keys. We call 工商角徵羽, which means gong, which means do, re, mi, so, la, shang, re, mi, so, la, do, jiao, mi, so, la, do, re, and the zhi, so, la, do, re, mi, then yu, la, do, re, mi, so. So it's kind of like a raga here, or yeah, you always have to go back to there. If you say I'm playing zhi, then you can't do too much of a la mi. So la mi mi la is more like a yu. So it's very complicated. People think, oh, Chinese music only have a 5 tone. It's easy. It's not that simple. It's kind of like a depending minor, or we also kind of like a minor, major, or between. So
yeah, so you have modal shift of tonic to get all the notes from different scales from different notes. So
yes.
yeah, that's really really unique, and that's a little bit common to Indian original scales which came in the ancient times.
Yes.
The other thing that I noticed is you started as a child prodigy at the age of 12, and then
Yeah.
you graduated from the premier school in China, in Beijing, for your a degree, right? So
Yes.
being a child prodigy and blossoming from there to, performing in different parts of the world, I know you received several fellowships and scholarships even as a kid. And then you have grown up to become a star performer now, winning the very special, uh, you've been winning the best album awards for many, many years now. Looks like, you've been grabbing it for almost 4 or 5 years continuously. And that is very unique. I would like you to share a little bit about, some of the efforts that you put in, um, both as a director of the institute now that, you're bringing in the ensemble. I know that you also have been working apart from the traditional music, you're working on the fusion music. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I love fusion music. And when I first came to America was 26 years ago, 27 years ago, actually. And I only know how to play traditional music until suddenly I have an opportunity to work with at a Walker Art Center with the jazz musician Anthony Cox. Then at that time I played some blues, and I even didn't know what it was. Then I gotta tell you, my favorite collaborator and my first outside of musician, actually Indian, is the Shubhandra Rao, the sitar master. Shubhandra Rao and I, we started to collaborate with 1997. And he saw me perform with the Ragamala Dance Theater. And he said, oh my gosh, the pipa sounds like a guitar. I mean, like a sitar. So we played it together. And then we collaborated in 1997. We did a morning video. And by the way, we got a amazing feedback from Ravi Shankar. And Ravi Shankar even said that was one of the best collaboration works. Then since then, I love traditional other music. I also work with Namla, with the Veena and the vocalist. And I played with the Syrian wood player, Isam Rafia. I play with Japanese shakuhachi player. Then played with jazz musician, and play with the blues, play with klezmer musician, play with Irish musician, play with Hawaiian like a key guitar or banjo, you name it. So now I think the fusion music is the world music, and in the future, I think the world music is fusion music. So it's called the world music. That's why I love fusion music. And one of my first encounter with a collaboration is Indian music. I still love Indian music. I love Indian food too. Of course, Indian people, wonderful. I work with the Ragamala Dance Theater, with Rani and everybody. So I've been very blessed with many wonderful musicians I can work with.
Yeah, you have also performed, across the globe in Europe, Australia, Argentina, Japan, Hong Kong. Of course, you've given so many solo concerts and also performed with so many musicians. But the experience, I think you've performed in major centers like the Lincoln Center Festival, Carnegie Hall, the San Francisco Jazz Festival, the Next Wave Festival, and the Autumn or Festival in Paris and France. And then, many Europe, very big festivals, the traditional China National Traditional Orchestra. I mean, you've been doing so much in your career. How was the experience of performing in this major festivals and representing, a traditional art form, which is almost 5,000 years? How was it looked after? And then do you think the support for this is pretty huge in terms of the response that you're getting from various parts of the world?
Yeah, I think, are you talking about the Chinese music with a different form in different festival? Yes, it actually, because we have so many new music, the composers writing for concertos. I'm myself is writing a concertos. Actually, I'm writing a 4 orchestra piece commissioned this year. Will be premiered this fall and the next year. So, and also the festival is very diversity. It's a lot of we got a lot of attention from the festival, the major venues, and so people started to realize that Chinese music is not just a small, tiny of nation anymore. So it's kind of go on to the big stage. So I'm thankful you too to put us in part of the featuring. So your audience, especially in India and the other Asian people, to see, how the American have this variety of music. Thanks to you too to introduce our music to your audience.
I would also like to, you've been doing a lot of work in your college right now. So I would like you to talk about the ensemble itself that you're working on. How many students are there? I saw that some of them are from Bay Area. There are people there. Some of the artists that performed are from different parts of United States of America. How do they learn? Since you're in Minnesota, how do they learn, and how are they part of the ensemble?
Yeah, the Carlton Chinese Music Ensemble is one of the first ever in America higher education. You can have a music major on Chinese instrument to get a BA degree. So it's 2008, we had the first people player ever to graduate as a music major, then studied pipa. So it's all those ensemble you just watching wasn't it's everybody was part of the Carlton Chinese Music Ensemble. The reason somebody is in China, somebody is in different part is because of pandemic. So now I'm teaching online, so that's why you see the different part. But when the pandemic finish or as normal, they all come back to the campus. So we have quite a lot of musicians. I have a lot of music major on Chinese pipa, zhongran, and also have a lot of music manner on the Chinese zither, Chinese erhu, Chinese flute. So it's quite amazing. No one will know. I'm living in Northfield. It's a small, tiny town. No one know what they can learn Chinese music. You can get a music major and get a BA. So it's very very surprising for many people. But it's my fortunate to have this opportunity to offer anybody around the world whoever want to come to Carlton to learn math or whatever you want to, but you also can learn Chinese music. So usually we'll meet once a week we'll practice about one hour and a half. Then by the end, we'll have a concert. So I have a direct Chinese music ensemble, also global music ensemble. You heard some of that. The reason is because I love collaborating with musicians from around the world. So I know through music, easy to connect people. So I wanted to my student to learning other country, other ethnic groups or race or whatever is, then they can understand their music and through the music understand their culture. So it's a global music ensemble. Yeah.
Yes, you have mentioned it very beautifully, and in fact, you also keep saying that it's like beautiful flowers. The more you listen, the fragrance you get, and that's how your music is also. The more you hear it,
Yes.
you really feel it. So it's
Yes.
wonderful. It was sounding so pleasing to the ears. And yes, dear listeners from and viewers from across the world, that's the celebrity from the Chinese music. Fine instrumentalist was won several awards for independent music. She has won gold medals for being the best performer. She's a best Asian for the best Asian album, the best Asian song, for the best instrumental song, and she has also won global music awards. And it's an honor and pleasure to have featured Gong Hao on today's Sansar Sangeet Utsav. Thank you for joining in. Despite your busy schedule, thank you for being a part of this event. Looking forward to hearing more of your independent fusion performances and also featuring your ensemble and working with you in future too. Thank you.
Thank you for having me and good luck on your rest of the festival. And you're doing amazing, beautiful job for collaborate with many of the different musicians to reach out to different people around the world. Thank you for your great work. Thank you.
Thank you.